Well, there's a number of factors that have sort of improved the underlying position of the public finances and some that have made it worse, but it's better on balance overall. The biggest single one is that it looks like the government is going to have to spend less money on interest payments on its debt. The main reason for that is that the interest rates in financial markets at which governments can borrow have fallen since our last forecast in July, and so that saves them about £18 billion over the course of the 5 years. There's also been a change. The Bank of England has announced recently that it's likely to reverse quantitative easing a bit later than had previously been anticipated. That saves money on debt interest as well. There's also been some good news in areas of tax receipts. We've had income tax and corporation tax coming in a little bit better than we'd expected so far this year. We're a bit more optimistic about the outlook for national insurance and VAT over the next few years. But then you also have factors that have pushed in the other direction. Share prices are lower than they were in July, and that loses you money on things like inheritance tax, capital gains tax. We're less confident as well about the pace at which houses are going to be bought and sold, and that loses you stamp duty as well. So there are things going in both directions, but on balance, it is an improvement. The improvement is concentrated in the middle years of the Parliament, though, so it looks less good as you get to the end, and that's why the Chancellor's had to rely more on tax increases rather than just this underlying improvement to get the bottom line better at the end.
£27 billion is a big figure, though. How did you get it so wrong before?
Well, this is the forecast over the 5 years, so this is not a comparison to an outturn number that we've already seen. As I say, partly it's things like, and this happens in both directions between every forecast that we do, when you have market interest rates changing, the interest rates at which governments can borrow money, then that can make a big difference. A quite small movement that, if you have a mortgage, you probably don't think of as very big, can add up to lots of billions of pounds if you're a government.
But there's a lot at stake.
That's the biggest single measure.
There's a lot at stake here, though, isn't there? What happens if you're wrong?
Well, any central forecast, there's a 50% chance we think things are going to be better, a 50% chance things are going to be worse. Normally with budgets, obviously any chancellor doing a budget or an autumn statement knows that there's another one coming along in a few months' time, and you can adjust your policies accordingly. This is obviously slightly different. We're dealing with a spending review here, and that's setting out firm plans for government departments.
Yeah, I mean, the chancellor's spending that money, isn't
exactly.
he?
And that's harder to change that if you want to later on, although not impossible. So I think from the Chancellor's point of view, he needs to set policy aware that any given forecast like this could be wrong in either direction, and you want to be robust to those risks on both sides.
Yeah,
that, at the end of the day, is a decision for him to take what risks, not for us.
Well, based on past performance, do you think you're being over-optimistic and perhaps the Chancellor should have been more cautious with the forecast that you've given him?
Well, by definition, the forecast we've produced is a central forecast. We think it's equally likely that things will turn out better, equally likely...
So do you think he spent too much?
No, as I say, on the basis of the numbers that we've put out, he's giving himself scope to achieve the fiscal targets that he's set himself, with a bit of room for manoeuvre. He's aiming, for example, for a budget surplus of about £10 billion at the end of the Parliament. History suggests, if you look at the errors in official forecasts, ours and the Treasury's over many years, that probably gives him about a 55% chance of actually delivering a surplus in that year. So it's by no means a done deal, but there's a little bit of room for manoeuvre for things to go wrong. Things could turn out better as well.
Robert Cho, thank you.
You're welcome.